Hi, I am Bernadette Banner. I am a dress historian and I also run a YouTube channel on said dress history.
I studied theatrical costume design. Well, my university career is a bit of a mess, but because I initially thought that, university is this thing that I just need to tick off a list and then I'll run back to work. I was working in theater, but while I was at university, I realized, oh my god, there's so much else to learn. And so I started studying English Renaissance and medieval literature and Old English, and dress history eventually came out of all of that. So then when I left university, I ended up going to work in dress history, and here I am. Some of my colleagues who I worked with once upon a time were teaching in the design program at this one, and New York University. And so I thought, I really admire and respect these people. If I have to be taught by someone, I want to be taught by them. So I went to university for them. And that was it was a weird situation because usually you go for a subject, and I guess I kind of did, but primarily I was there for the professors, which I think is actually turned out to be a really good decision, because my professors were the people who noticed, you seem to be more interested in the historical focus of the shows, and you seem to like this a lot more. And I'm like, yeah. So there's this thing called the School of Historical Dress. Wait, what? Tell me more. And so it's really my professors who have set me on this path of, here's something you might like based on what we know about you and your strengths. And that's been the most invaluable experience. Storytelling is sort of drilled into your brain in theater school, in art school, I think in general, is that the ultimate core of anything of value artistically is story. We as humans are hardwired to want story in everything, not only in our entertainment, but in the things that we look at in our lives even, and sometimes in contexts where it doesn't even make sense to have story, but we watch YouTube videos and we want to build characters around the people that we see on screen, and we want to know that they're the good guy and declaim, that's not a word, but proclaim our rage against the bad guy, and we're all about story as humans. It's part of our natural instinct, and so it only sort of seems logical to progress from there, in that if you are trying to create art, you therefore must create story around that. A lot of people ask me do you storyboard, do you do shot lists? And I'm like, no, I actually don't. And it's sort of a surprise, but the process itself is the story, and that's not something that you can plan when you're doing a sewing video. You don't know that actually it took 3 days to do all of these buttonholes, or I actually ended up ripping out and redoing all of these seams, and you just never know what the process is going to be like, and that's the drama. Or over the course of a project, if it's a couple of months, or if you do a project in a day, or if there's this spectacular thunderstorm I had happen once during one of my projects, and that becomes included in the general mood of the video. So it's this video is themed sort of stormy and autumnal, and this video is very light and springy, and we're going to have shots about running in the fields, and actually, the internet, Gen Z has got those aesthetic names down. So when I saw Dark Academia, I was like, it's me. It is this sort of mixture between, but Dark Academia, Victorian. My everyday style of dress is more 1890s to 1910, that specific era, which I guess becomes the focus of my channel, because I do make a lot of things that I end up wearing. And what I like to wear is that era. But yeah, late Victorian, early Edwardian, Dark Academia, with a sprinkle of witchery, a little bit of whimsy. I think it's just what you're most naturally attracted to when you look at historical styles. There's also a practicality to it. There's no bustles, there's no crinolines, there's no panniers and tall hair, and it's fabulous. I'm dying for the day that someone does Zach Pinson level historical commitment to a style of dress, but Elizabethan. Walk around in those doublets and those pumpkin hose, and please, someone do it. But anyway, there is the element of practicality that...
You heard it.
Someone out there, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
you know, I dabbled in just costume making, general costume making. I didn't really love sewing until I started doing historical reconstruction a couple of years ago. So the first historical reconstruction I did was a pair of pocket hoops. That was a fun project. All by hand, all 18th century with a real baleen. It was so cool.
Do you still have it, or?
No, it wasn't for me, it was part of a job, alas.
Okay.
I actually don't,
Cool.
I was just thinking about this the other day, but the majority of the reconstruction work that I've done, I don't own. I can point out a flaw in every project that I've done. But, I mean, everything that I wear, I do feel proud of to some extent because I can wear it. Like, it's a thing that I made that I can wear. Like, I don't care if it has flaws, I'm still gonna wear it. The project that I had the most fun doing was a pair of 1890, I think it's 1900, the Met says it's 1890, but I think it's Edwardian combinations. That project, I'm not gonna wear them out on the street, but it was just such a fun project to work on. It's all hand sewn, and I just like had the best time hand sewing all these little pieces together. It's great.
So like on a regular basis, I very strongly consider / plan out in great detail the process of dropping off the face of the internet, like changing my name, cutting my hair, like disappearing, like being completely anonymous. The one thing that trips me up is I would not be able to give up my historical dress. Like I would not be able to not dress like this because it is so intrinsically me that I would just feel like an empty shell of a human, like body dysmorphia or dysphoria if I weren't dressed like this. You know, if I just had to wear jeans and a t-shirt every day, I would be mortally depressed. The figures that I'm most attracted to are the professional women. So there's a lot of discussion amongst reenactors, but also, you know, people who study historical dress and people who make historical costumes about you either like the pretty ball gowns or you like the working wear, you know, the working folk. And we have this sort of interesting thing that happened. Well, I guess it's sort of all throughout history, but it becomes more of a thing in that late Victorian period with industrialization, where you get more women with independent professions, and that's what I'm really attracted to. Like, I don't care about the silk ball gowns. I've made one. Cool, it's fine. But give me the waistcoats, give me the shirt waists, give me the walking skirts. I love the, like, smart, professional looking, practical dress of the late Victorian period, because they are fundamentally practical. They have to be. These women have to function and they have to work. But it also symbolizes this incredible independence, this female independence.
I can't wear a lot of standard sizing. And the thought just occurred to me recently that I'm all about like anti-fast fashion and buy things thrifted. And how often do I buy thrifted clothing? Very rarely. Because nothing, you know, if I buy something that's thrifted, it had better be worth it, because the whole garment is going to have to be unpicked, laid flat patterns, cut, grafted, restitched, and put together as a new garment. Just because, I mean, it's not just like, oh, take in the seams because you're little, but it's like, it's not a fun process to do, because it's like being faced with, here's everything that's deviant about you. But learning how to sew was my way around that. Because like, if I'm going to spend that much time deconstructing and reconstructing a thrifted, I might as well just make it and make myself feel like I am just like this, rather than not like this, but like this, you know. Oh, I love the precision of tailoring.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a science that you can study and then implement. I mean, I guess all of sewing is, but there's just something about tailoring. The fabrics are so crisp and they behave so well. Whereas, you know, draping with silks, like, no thanks, do not want. But with tailoring, it's just so clean and it's smart and it's just so satisfying to do when you do it well. It's difficult, but, you know, because it's easy to make it look not crisp and not clean and well fitted, but when you get it right, it's just the most satisfying. I do pay attention to what people wear because it's what I do, you know? It's just what I notice in life. I will notice what you're wearing. I will do my deductions about your hem lengths and your shirt cuffs and your collar size, but it's always in a, you know, it's never, like, I'm not gonna judge your character
Yeah.
negatively based on what you're wearing. I love to see people going full out. I don't care, like, yes, I personally love historical dress. I so appreciate historical dress in other people, like what Zach does, what you do, like chef's kiss, I love it. But I equally, if I see someone walking down the street in full on goth, or full on Lolita, or full on like rocker, metal, punk, like, I love it. I just like am mentally applauding, like, I just love to see people who have that same internal style passion, just living their full life. Like, I love it. People in full drag, like, oh my God, you look amazing. I'm like, oh my God, you look amazing. And it's like, you wouldn't expect two people from two completely different subcultures to appreciate, but you kind of do, because under, you know, foundationally, you both have that same passion for a certain look, a certain aesthetic, and you're like, I see you. I mean, fashion it's a pendulum.
Yeah.
I did have a professor once who pointed out in the middle of every century, from about, the 18th century, skirts get really big. You know, 1760s, you have the panniers. 1860s, you have the big crinolines. 1950s, you have the big fluffy skirts. So I'm waiting to see what happens in 2050, 2060. Like, where do we go with these large skirts? That's just a point of pure entertainment for me, though. I don't really know. Although I was just looking at some imagery from the 1980s and 90s the other day, and I realized everyone's walking around in these oversized t-shirts and these baggy pants, and everyday fashion has got a little bit more dressed up since then. You know, people don't people wear whatever they want nowadays, which I guess sort of flips the whole predictability of fashion on its head a bit, because now there is a culture of people wear whatever they want from whatever era they want. There is no one defining style of the 2010s or 2020s. People ultimately will wear whatever they want, and I do think that's kind of magical.
On the other
Bring
hand,
back Elizabethan trunk hose.
yeah.